Greetings, 757. I'm Sean Avery, President and CEO of the Hampton Roads Workforce Council, and you're listening to thinkHIRE. Every month, we're bringing you engaging conversations with workforce development think tanks in our region. And today, I have two of those thought leaders with me. My colleague, Christina Brooks, our Senior Director of our Next Gen and Special Projects, and Dr. Jane Glassow, the Executive Director of EVMS Minus 9 to 5 program. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate that. First, let me say, Happy Women's History Month.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
exactly.
you. Yeah,
Thank
excited
you both.
to be here. Thanks.
Thank you. Perfect topic to get us started. It's fitting that we focus this episode on thinkHIRE, on women in the workforce, and I know you both have been working in this space to ensure more equitable outcomes for women in our regional workforce, particularly in industries where they are underrepresented. Here at the Workforce Council, we have launched several programs and initiatives such as our Women's and Skilled Careers program aimed at providing employment opportunities for women in some of those in-demand industries. Christina, why don't you tell me a little bit about that program?
Absolutely. So the Women in Skilled Careers program is very close to my heart. It is designed to not just help women in our region identify those opportunities to advance in careers where we're underrepresented, but also to help really dig into the retention challenges for why women don't stay in spaces in which we are harder to find, so that we can help our companies develop those robust talent pipelines. We know that there is a lot of work to do. We're losing some ground in recruiting and retaining women in leadership in general, as well as in these spaces such as skilled trades and technical careers, where we still represent less than a quarter of the workforce, and skilled trades, we're still less than 3% of the workforce. So we've developed a program that will provide robust supportive services that will help women while they're going through training, complete that training, as well as enter the workforce, as well as retention-focused efforts that will coach our local industries through identifying the challenges that their women are having in the workplace, create solutions for those efforts, and retain our workforce here in our region.
Great. And we wouldn't be able to do that without our friends at the U.S. Department of Labor, who actually provided us a WANTO grant. And I'm going to have to look up WANTO just to make sure I say that right. Women in Apprenticeship and Non-Traditional Occupations.
Correct.
Could you tell me a little bit about that grant and what's that, what that is doing to help our region?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the WANTO grant was provided by the Department of Labor's Women's Bureau, which is a division of the federal government that is dedicated to helping advance women in the workforce. The WANTO grant is a $714,000 investment from the Department of Labor that will provide robust supportive services such as childcare, transportation. We'll be able to purchase uniforms, tools, equipment that will help women launch in the industry. We are also developing a network of support systems such as support groups, focus groups, to better understand why women leave once they get into those locations, and technical assistance programming for employers to identify what those key challenges really are. It's a 2-year grant. It joins a investment from the Keenan Foundation that is also providing learning stipends and supportive services to support women in these skilled careers programs.
Yeah, the great thing about this program, it matches right into what we're doing in the maritime industry. A couple of other programs that we've got is the Good Jobs Challenge grant, the $11 million grant we got, and Hampton Roads Strong program that's being funded right now through the governor's office, but come July 1, we funded through the General Assembly. All these investments, totaling almost $40 million, almost $50 million if you add in the Navy money, are really helping to drive our maritime focus. And one of those big efforts are reaching non-traditional populations in there. And so women are going to be a big role in that. And we have recruiters that are going to be part of that. How does this all tie in together as we're starting to grow this workforce and really go after individuals to get them into these occupational areas?
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting because when we went to evolve our Women in Skilled Careers program through the WANTO funding, we actually engaged women who went through our pilot effort to join the maritime industry. And we asked them what works, what doesn't work. And for those of you who went into shipbuilding and repair, why did you leave? And we used that information to build out what the WISC program would become so that we can help those retention a little stronger. As we're building out this system, we're going to be engaging in more of those conversations directly with women and other underrepresented populations in order to build those pathways into the maritime industry, as well as all of those other industries where women are harder to find. We're going to be doing grassroots recruitment efforts at the neighborhood level, engaging our community organizations, our faith-based institutions, and really digging in to find individuals where they live, where they play, and where they build their families so that we can connect them to these opportunities.
Yeah, and we're not just focusing on the maritime industry. We're going to replicate this into the information technology and the cybersecurity and the healthcare and all of our industries because, again, we know after the pandemic, we've had a hard time getting people back into the workforce and really getting them to go into these career opportunities. And so we're pushing out all the barriers and trying to make it easier for people to get in there. Are there any other examples that we're working on to try to get women into this?
Absolutely. You know, we lost a lot of women and a lot of individuals in the workforce in general through the Great Recession, and I know it's been called a C-session, but we also have this challenge where we are not having as many women come back into the workforce, but we're also seeing women leave at an unprecedented rate from their leadership positions while they are currently there. For every one woman who is promoted into a director level position, 2 are leaving their organization. So we are losing ground at diversifying in our leadership as well as within the entry level positions. That first rung on the ladder is still broken. For every 100 men who are promoted into a management level position, only 87 women are, and only 82 women of color are promoted into leadership roles. So the WISC program is going to be really digging into that information, building out those support networks, launching mentorship programs so that we can connect women who are in leadership with the women who are rising so that we can retain those numbers, working with our industry partners, not just in maritime, but everywhere where you're not going to find women in the majority. So those IT clusters, even parts of healthcare where it's going to be male dominated, you're going to find us in the building trades. A lot of just really good work to come in order to help turn that tide.
So we've got a lot of resources to help individuals get into training, but we know that there's still barriers there, such as childcare, such as transportation, such as those issues that are really affecting individuals, their ability to get back into the workforce or even get into the workforce. And a lot of this has been brought on even more to the forefront due to COVID-19. And so as a result, many employers are still struggling to find the talent and diversify and bring on the workforce. And unfortunately, a lot of that has impacted women. They've really had an exodus from the workforce. A lot of it is causing a lot of the talent shortages that we have in the region. Dr. Glasgow, I want to bring you into this conversation because I think you're one of the best solutions that we have in the region. No pressure. We know you're going to solve all this issue, but can you tell us about -9 to 5 and how you're helping us with solve this issue?
Sure. Well, the child care workforce and the child care system in Hampton Roads is one sliver of what we do. But I'll tell you a little bit about -9 to 5, and then we can talk directly about child care and some of those issues that are impacting the workforce in Hampton Roads. So -9 to 5 is a collective impact initiative. We're housed at the Department of Pediatrics at Eastern Virginia Medical School. People might be saying, wow, why would something around childcare and families be housed in the Department of Pediatrics? And it's a great opportunity for EVMS to talk about how important it is for holistic child development that we focus on all areas. So we focus on healthy homes and healthy children. We focus on thriving families, all the supports that families need to raise children who are healthy, thriving, and ready to learn, early learning and development. So really that's where our child care work sits. And then we also have data and knowledge, policy and advocacy, and a work group on community connections. So we really focus on all areas of children and families, really focused on the system. But today really want to talk a little bit more about the child care piece because we know that's, as Christina shared, is one of the many factors that are impacting the women in our workforce today.
Perfect. We'll get into that. That's a perfect setup because as we learned from Christina, there are opportunities available for women in all industries. I mean, we want them to get involved in everything that we're involved in. So I will tell you, women make the best welders. Employers say that, and so we need to get them involved in it. Well, they make the best everything, right? So I mean, however, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 2 million women have left the workforce since 2020. And there is actually a term for this. I've never even heard of this. She Session?
Yes.
Okay, new to me. This is hitting the business community hard in terms of recruitment and retention so that we no longer can afford to ignore how childcare is impacting our workforce. It's really having a major impact on us. And you've done a lot of work around trying to get businesses to understand that and how we can get family-friendly businesses. Can you talk about that project?
Sure. Kind of in response, I think that the pandemic showed us a lot of things, but one of them was, I think, the fragility of the childcare system, which is still struggling, has still not responded or still rebounded. So we, as part of our work at Minus 9 to 5, in response to that, created a family-friendly business toolkit. And really the impetus behind that was trying to help businesses understand the challenges that working parents go through, predominantly women, because it seems that they're the ones who are trying to balance all of the responsibilities. Not in every case, I don't want to sound stereotypic, but we know that it's impacting women more. And so through our toolkit, we created a handy toolkit that businesses can use to look at some really simple ways that they can begin to support those working women. The first one starts with just doing an assessment, looking at what are the needs of those employees in your company. A company that provides services and is open working hours from 9 to 5 is really going to be different than the shipyard where they're looking at welders who come in very early or stay late. Our military population, the needs that they have are different. And so the first key to that family-friendly business policies are really looking at what are the needs of your employees, surveying those people that work for you, as you were kind of talking about in some of these grants, to find out exactly where those gaps are so that we can address them. But throughout the toolkit, there's other things too that talk about flexible scheduling. There's some talk about how you can increase the bottom line if you don't have dependent care accounts, if you don't have health savings accounts, some things that you can, policies that you can put in place, and they will ensure that families are getting every bit of their dollar. And we know right now that, with the way that the economy is, that every dollar counts. We also talk a lot about looking for childcare. Our childcare system has been really critically impacted, a lot of it because of the challenging childcare workforce situations, which we can talk about in a minute. But many of our childcares are not fully open because of the workforce. And so families have a really hard time finding childcare. We hear of places that, for 10 infant spaces, they have 75 infants on the waiting list. And so infants and toddlers on the waiting list is just really a challenge. I have several of my own colleagues who've not been able to find, infant care. And so, helping if employers can create some information, a resource in their HR department that says, hey, when somebody announces that they're having a baby, great, we're really excited for you. Here's some information of things that you can do. Here's some information on where you can find high quality childcare. What does high quality childcare look like? What are the different options? But what's a family day home? What's a childcare center? What would it look like to have somebody come into your home? What are some of the subsidies and other supports that you can have? If you're military, there's a subsidy for that. If you are certain income, you can qualify for Department of Social Services childcare subsidies. And so providing all of that information to their employees really helps them be prepared and not wait until the baby's born and then decide that I need to start finding childcare, which is often going to leave me not able to return to work on time or at all.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Jane, Minus 9 to 5, does it represent the whole region here in Hampton Roads?
We do. We kind of a little complicated. So most of our work is in the 5 cities in Southampton Roads, so Chesapeake, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, and Suffolk. In addition, we are the Ready Region Southeastern lead, which means that we're working on the quality improvement, the new system in Virginia called VQB5, Virginia Quality Birth to 5. And so we are working with childcare programs to expand access, to increase quality. We bring in some mixed delivery dollars, which provides additional spaces. We have another 200 spaces through that. And so through our Ready Regions work, we not only work with the 5 cities in Southampton Roads, but we also work with the Eastern Shore, Accomack and Northampton County, and then Western Tidewater with Southampton County, Franklin City, Isle of Wight, and then Suffolk. So,
great.
Yeah.
As a regional organization, is there a peninsula counterpart Is that Smart Beginnings?
Yes, it is. It is Smart Beginnings. They are representing the Ready Region's Chesapeake Bay.
Okay.
So they're doing a lot of the same type of work. They're doing the quality improvement work that we are. That's all coming down and funded by the state. We are happy to share our family-friendly business toolkit. It's not anything specific to Hampton Roads. So that is, available to anybody in the region or across the state or broader that might be interested in that information.
Yeah, because we plan on this podcast going national. So
there we go.
We'll make sure that everybody
right.
finds out
Yes.
about
Yeah.
it. Are you working closely with the military base? We're hearing that could be an issue, especially with readiness and them being able to find childcare on the bases.
Absolutely, yes. Almost all of them in our region have child development centers. Some of them have multiple child development centers. The military also contracts with family day home providers, and they do the monitoring for that. But the waiting list for childcare for our military personnel is long, sometimes in the thousands. When somebody relocates, when they come to the area, their command tries to help them get childcare. One of the things that we have been doing that's been beneficial to the military, especially the junior enlisted, is we have a mixed delivery grant that provides funding for childcare, and we're working with Armed Services YMCA to provide 3 and 4-year-olds programming there, which is great. It's a small number of spaces, but it's a start, and the military, we do work with them on the quality improvement, but they are well invested in looking at options in the region. And I know they also have a person who works on finding nannies and matching those up with for military as well. But that is a big challenge. And then, when you think about the non-traditional hours that our military often need, as the mother of a service member, I know he doesn't always work traditional hours. And so finding programs that can care for children really early in the morning or overnight or during short deployments, not everybody has family to help out.
Sure. So childcare, it's a huge issue. I mean, there's a lot of different inputs into it, but we at least got an organization that's working with us to try to find a solution, but it's going to take the whole region. And the military piece, one of the big things that we like to promote here is we've got military spouses and military family members, but if they're not able to find childcare, they're not able to get in the workforce. So it's a rolling problem that we have. So I think the solution is we've got to increase the workforce that's in the child care.
Absolutely.
And so who better to help do that than the Hampton Roads Workforce Council? And so we've got to figure out programs and increase the training, increase the certifications. You have some ideas on that and how we can work together?
Yeah, we do. Right now, the child care workforce is at a critical shortage. Many of our child care programs are operating at maybe 50% of their capacity because they simply don't have the staff to come in. The average wage right now for child care providers in Hampton Roads is $14 for teachers. And so we're hearing that teachers are leaving the workforce. And, we hear in public school where they're paid more that those folks are leaving and they're having a hard time recruiting. Imagine in a child care center where 80% of our child care programs in the region are not able to offer benefits to their employees and the lower wages. So we, I think collectively have to start thinking about ways to increase wages. We have to start thinking about, and that's really going to take some public and private dollar investments, I think, because you can't charge the parents more. But the business model for many child care programs, if you were to present the business model when you're opening a business like that to somebody, they would say that's probably not a really good investment just because your income comes from your families and your expenses are determined, some of them by the state, based on ratios and the care that you have to provide. So, but there are some great things working with Virginia Early Childhood Foundation on a fast track training program for teaching assistants. We've got some local child care providers who are really excited about taking a bold step and are offering $17 an hour for these positions. Right. Virginia Early Childhood Foundation has some federal funding that is helping to train those folks. It's paid training, getting them into the centers. The centers then agree to do some mentoring. They get a bonus at 6 months and a year. So, but we really have to think creatively. And as you said, it's going to take a lot of resources and a lot of creative thinking. If it was an easy problem to solve, we'd have had it solved a long time ago. But it is really challenging. But I think it's really cyclical. Right now, we don't have the child care workforce, so we don't have enough capacity, which keeps other people from going to work. They can only pay so much for child care, which keeps the wages low, which keeps the workforce at bay. So it's really a challenge.
So we really need to break the cycle is
Yeah,
what we need to do.
absolutely.
It is an economic development activity too. I mean, if we
Yeah.
can't grow we're not gonna be able to grow the economy if we have these roadblocks in
Right.
the way for success. Christina,
Yeah.
I know, were you gonna answer?
I was just going to say, I think we're really focusing on childcare, but I think too, equally important is businesses, as we were talking about, understanding the impacts on families, the stress of childcare, the stress of trying to balance when your child's in school or playing sports or you have a conference with the teacher, and so finding ways that we can help support all of that. All of those policies are part of the economic development issue, I believe.
I
Absolutely.
totally agree
Yeah.
with that. I know our Virginia Career Work Centers, our veteran centers are really promoting these opportunities for individuals. 'Cause it could be an entrepreneurship opportunity. If somebody wants to open up a child care center,
Right.
they've
And
got an opportunity to
We
be their
got
own
plenty of
business owner.
resources
Yeah,
to help connect them with the right things. I mean, there are resources out there, and the state is investing in some of these things too. In our Virginia Quality, for those that accept any public funding, the state is this year providing a $2,500 stipend to child care providers who work more than 30 hours with children. Next year goes up to $3,000. It's not a wage increase. It is a stipend that goes directly to the teacher, but that's something that we can do. For many of them, that could be up to 10% of their income in a bonus. So,
Absolutely.
those are small ways, but we need to think about some strategic ways, put all those solutions together
Right.
to figure something out.
Well, Christina, as our strategic person in the organization, I know you have some thoughts on this as well. Would you
Oh, absolutely. Always have some thoughts.
share some of the great ideas you've come up with?
I think we can talk about a couple of early wins that we've had with our good friends at -9 to 5, such as some short-term credentialing that we've
Yeah.
piloted to help upskill our current workforce.
Yeah.
So that we can grow that pipeline. And I think continuing to look at ways of upskilling the existing childcare workforce so that we can help retain those positions and help grow those wages is definitely something we want to dig in a little deeper on. Another early win that we had is this past summer, we partnered with -9 to 5 to pilot paid internships for high school students to go into early childhood education. And in doing that, we're able to start that pipeline a few years younger. They're able to get a good solid 1-2 years of experience under their belts before they graduate and join the workforce directly, and that can help build out that pipeline, getting the information out at that earlier age, as well as teaching our employers some of the strategic things they can do to build out connection points to those programming. Would like to see us doing some more partnering with industry at getting creative in connecting their working parents with childcare, even teaming up with a childcare provider down the street. What can we do to help parents strategically connect with childcare? Because imagine being a single parent, you don't have private transportation, so you're trying to ride the bus to work, you've got a child that you need to take to another part of town to drop off at daycare, and then you need to get to work in order to earn the funding to pay for that childcare provider. It's a huge web of complications. So if we can find ways where the employer, the family, the workforce council, the support systems can help make that strategic plan for a family to identify a resource, that would be a really great way to counter that.
Great idea, Christina, as always. Christina, Dr. Glasgow, this has been a great discussion. Did you want to add one more?
No,
something?
I'm good. Thank you.
Well, before we close,
Yeah.
though, I got to ask you
Yeah.
one request. Can you please share to our employers that are listening where they can find that family-friendly
Absolutely.
business toolkit?
Yes, we have it front and center on our website. There's a quick link right on the website. It's -MINUS, the number 925, MINUS 9to5.org. And right in the center, there's a big gold bar that says quick link to our family-friendly business toolkit. And we encourage that to be shared with whomever is interested. Share it with your employees, share it with your colleagues who may be dealing with some of the same issues with their employees.
And we will also share that
Yeah.
on all of our social media and website as well. And Christina, where can we find more information on our training programs we have to offer? And
Yep. So come find us at theworkforcecouncil.org, and also stay tuned for the Women in Skilled Careers Summit, which will be coming up in a couple of months, where we will discuss more in depth how to understand women's recruitment retention challenges and build out those supports. So again, workforcecouncil.org, and you can give us a call at 757-314-2370.
Well, thank you both for this great conversation. You definitely encouraged us to think higher today as we covered such important topics for the region. And to our new viewers and listeners, if you enjoyed today's first episode, be sure to subscribe and share. Thanks for tuning in. This is Think Higher.